so we can speak a little bit about it. But as you said, we're not authorities on Naruto. I couldn't tell you everything about it.
No. But can you tell me what Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 actually is? It's a fighting game, yeah?
Yes, the versus mode, which was the majority of what I got to play, is kind of like a 3D fighter, kind of in the spirit of if Street Fighter was 3D.
Okay. Is it like Tekken-y?
It's kind of Tekken-y.
Right.
You're sort of in a mainly circular arena, and it's you and mostly one other person you're fighting against, and like you use combos like you would in Street Fighter and stuff like that to unleash different moves, and basically try and hurt them and eventually knock them out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's but the cool thing is that you're in a team of, I want to say 3. So when you pick your characters, you don't just pick one, you pick 3.
Oh, okay.
And by, I want to say, flicking the right stick, left or right, it switches characters. And so you can like kick ass with one character, and then be like, oh, I'm kind of bored of this character, even though you're midway through a fight. And then you can flick over to another one. And I'm sure there's some advantages to flicking mid-fight, but I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Like, can you remember Tekken Tag Tournament? Because it sounds sort of similar to that.
I didn't play Tekken Tag Tournament.
Well, I mean, it was effectively that, where you could, like, yes, I don't know, you could have King and whoever, Paul or something like that, yeah, and could actually switch between them. But is it like one health bar for everyone, or...?
Yeah, it's one health bar for everyone, so like if your main guy takes almost all damage and almost dies, you can't then switch out and have a new health bar. It's all on the same health bar. But what you can do is, which I kind of only discovered quite late on in my playthrough, and I wish I'd discovered it earlier, was if you're like, well, regardless of if you're getting beaten up or not, but it works best when you're like being comboed, you can press, I want to say L1 or R1, and it brings in an AI controlled version of your teammate. And they unleash like one move, and it can be dodged like any of the moves. But it's kind of a good way of, if you're being comboed, like if they're unleashing loads of stuff and you can't really get out of it very well, you can just, providing you get space to do it, tap the button, and then they come in, and if they land their attack, obviously your opponent will be stunned for a second, will lose their combo and kind of get back into fighting shape. So that was kind of quite cool, because I used that a lot when I discovered it, because when I was getting comboed, I kind of didn't understand too well how it was like called block on the move list, which you assume blocks a move.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out how to block a move properly, and it seemed to just make me jump out of the way, which isn't really blocking. That's more dodging. So after I realised that I wasn't very good at that, whenever I sort of was being absolutely like beaten up, I just like, right, friend, come in, and hit them with one move. And that kind of worked out quite well. So
it just kind of like gives you a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah, but you can also use it for like, if on the other side of things, which didn't happen to me too often, where you're beating the head out of someone, and you're like, right, I can probably finish them off here if I hit a good few moves together. You could like theoretically bring them both in at the same time, and if they both land their attacks and you land your attacks, it's like 3 attacks in this time it takes you to do 1 attack, and it does a lot of damage. Although they are quite easy to dodge most of the time.
Right. Okay. And is there, like, it's not just a multiplayer game, isn't there? There's a single player as well.
There is a single player, purely because it's quite deep. Like the character roster is, I want to say it's pretty big because it looked like there were loads of pictures. Whether or not they're all like, I think there was at least 4 different versions of Naruto, who is like one guy.
Yeah.
And I don't really know. Like one of them was the big Wolf-ass Ninetales thing.
You could actually play as it? Okay.
Well, it's like Naruto, but then some of his moves transform him into the big-ass Wolf Ninetales thing.
Right.
And then there was another version where he had like some like arcane orb things flying around his head. And I assumed that each of the different Narutos has different skill sets.
Yeah.
And then there was loads of other characters who I didn't have a clue who they were. One of them kind of looked a bit like like Zeus, except with rocks. Like, you know the god Zeus, who like had lightning and all that? Yeah. Basically him, and he could sort of float around, but all his attacks had something to do with rocks. I quite liked him. He was pretty cool.
Like, so coming away from Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, were you overall positive on it, or?
I'm kind of 50-50, because the single player, like, I don't think I really got enough to play to judge it, so I'm kind of staying away from that. The multiplayer side of things, for me, it was like balls hard. It was like I won one match out of like loads, probably. I think it was what, 13-ish, and that was against the AI. Apparently, I was on an easy difficulty, although they may have been lying on that because it was really difficult. And like the reason, it's not the reason, but when you play, it's kind of like normal fighting games where it's a best of 3. So you've got to kill your opponent twice to win. And I could usually kill them once, but the health bars don't reset at the end of every round. So like the time it takes them to kill me twice and win would be about the same amount of time it would take me to kill them once.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I quite enjoyed it, I think. But that may be because there was just loads of cool shit happening on screen. Like, some of the moves are ridiculous.
I mean, that probably... Again, whilst not being an authority, I'm just gonna have a stab in the dark and say that that's Naruto in terms of like... I mean, we just keep referencing Pokemon because it's the only kind of anime reference I have. But that kind of like just batshit insane stuff happening on screen. Those things happen. I think I've watched an episode of Beyblade once.
Beyblade was good.
So I remember the theme tune being brilliant.
I don't remember the theme tune.
But I remember that grabbing me once and deciding to watch an episode. And there was something about turnips. I can't remember an awful lot about it. No.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to be really good.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was quite popular at one stage, I believe. Naruto's a television program, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's an anime.
Yeah, okay.
The cutscenes that I did see in the single player looked very much like your standard anime. It was basically the anime, although I do want to put out the voice acting. In fact, not the voice acting, the writing, I can only assume has been a translation from Japanese. And it's
give us a for instance. Can you remember any line?
There was the one bit that sticks out is Naruto's having this argument with this man for some reason I didn't quite understand, and this man basically goes, I think it's after Naruto's just like kind of had his ass kicked a bit, or only just survived a fight, and he's like, ha ha ha, Naruto, you suck. You had to get your friends to help you in order to survive. And then Naruto's line is something like, I would be more disappointed if my friends weren't here to fight with me. And then there's a pause, and then there's just like a word, I can't remember the word, but it's something like a random enjoyment. So like, it wasn't fuck yeah, but it may have been fuck yeah. But like, there's about a 4-second pause, so you expect the scene to cut away to the next guy, and he just stays on Naruto, just like 4 seconds of nothing. And then he's just like, yeah! He's like, I'll be disappointed if my friends weren't here with me. Pause. Yeah!
Stubbsy, I can't think of a better way to end this video. That's delightful.